My family didn't invite me to the family vacation because I caused too much drama, so I booked the hotel next to theirs and watched them fall apart. The text came from my brother. Hey, we're doing Turks and Caicos next month. Just the core family this time. You know how it is. I knew exactly how it was. Last Thanksgiving, I'd called out my uncle for making inappropriate comments to the waitress. At Christmas, I'd refused to laugh at Dad's racist jokes. Apparently, having boundaries made me the problem. What they didn't know was that my brother had accidentally sent me the full group chat the week before. I'd seen everything. Mom complaining about my feminist phase, my sister saying I'd ruin the vibe with my negativity, Dad suggesting they just wouldn't tell me about the trip at all. The resort they picked was Ocean Pearl, a 5-star property I recognized from my travel blog research. I checked availability. The hotel next door, Seaside Vista, had rooms available, 20 feet from their resort, separated by a low hedge and shared beach access. I booked immediately. I arrived the day before them and set up my observation post. My room had a balcony overlooking their pool area. I bought binoculars. Within hours of their arrival, the cracks started showing. My sister and her husband got into a screaming match about sunscreen. She wanted SPF 50. He thought she was being controlling. It lasted 30 minutes. My brother's kids threw tantrums constantly because, as I'd predicted, mixing children under 5 with an adults-only vacation vibe was a disaster. Mom and Dad bickered about everything: the restaurant reservations, the beach chairs, whether to tip the concierge. Without me as their lightning rod, they turned on each other. By day 3, my sister wasn't speaking to Mom over some comment about her parenting. My brother got so drunk at the tiki bar that hotel security had to escort him back to his room. His wife cried on the beach for 2 hours straight. I documented everything: photos of the arguments, videos of the chaos. I posted them on my private Instagram story with commentary, which my friends found hilarious. The best part was dinner on night 4. They'd made reservations at the resort's fancy Italian restaurant, the whole reason they picked this place. But my brother's kids lost it, shrieking through appetizers until management asked them to leave. I watched from my resort's restaurant across the hedge as they trudged back to their rooms, defeated and hungry. On day 5, I was lounging by my pool when I saw Dad storm past, heading toward the beach. Mom followed, yelling. I couldn't hear the words, but I didn't need to. 30 years of marriage, and the moment I wasn't there to absorb their tension, they turned on each other like sharks. That evening, I decided to make my presence known. I put on my best dress and went to their resort's sunset cocktail hour. I walked right past their table, drink in hand, laughing with a group I'd befriended. My sister saw me first. Her mouth literally dropped open. Then my brother. Then Mom. Dad stood up so fast his chair fell backward. I just smiled, waved, and kept walking. For the next hour, I could see them arguing frantically at their table. Who told me? Why was I here? What was I doing? The paranoia was delicious. That night, someone knocked on my door at 11 p.m. It was my sister, mascara smeared, still in her dinner clothes. We need to talk, she said. But before she could continue, my brother appeared behind her, drunk and furious. You're ruining everything, he slurred. You always ruin everything. Then Mom showed up, then Dad. They all started talking over each other in the hotel hallway, voices rising, other guests peering out their doors. Security arrived within minutes. And that's when everything unraveled. The head of security, a woman in her 50s with a no-nonsense expression, took one look at the scene and said, We're going to need everyone to return to their rooms. Now. Dad tried his corporate voice. There's been a misunderstanding. This is a family matter. Sir, we've had 3 noise complaints from this floor alone. If you can't keep it down, I'll have to ask your entire party to leave the property. My sister's face went pale. They'd spent $8,000 on this trip. Getting kicked out would be humiliating. I stood in my doorway, arms crossed, watching them squirm. She's not even staying here, my brother said, pointing at me. She's the problem. She's harassing us. The security woman looked at me. Is that true? I'm a guest at Seaside Vista next door, I said calmly. I came over for drinks. Your sister approached me first. My sister opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Because it was true. The security woman sighed. Everyone back to your rooms. Final warning. They shuffled away like scolded children. My sister kept looking back at me, her expression a mix of fury and confusion. Dad grabbed her arm and pulled her along. I went back inside and poured myself a glass of wine. My phone buzzed immediately. 12 text messages, all from family members. My sister, what the hell are you doing here? My brother, this is psychotic behavior. You need help. Mom, please stop causing problems. We're trying to have a nice vacation. Dad, this is unacceptable. You're embarrassing yourself in this family. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I posted a photo of my wine glass against the ocean view with the caption, Paradise Found. Within minutes, my friends started commenting, Living your best life. Iconic behavior. I aspire to this level of petty. I fell asleep to the sound of waves and the distant echo of my family still arguing through the walls. The next morning, I woke up early and went to the beach. I'd befriended a couple from Toronto the day before, and we'd planned to try paddleboarding. The ocean was perfect, calm and clear. I was out on the water when I saw my family arrive at their section of beach. They looked exhausted. My sister's eyes were puffy. My brother moved slowly, clearly hungover. Mom and Dad set up their chairs in silence, their body language stiff and separate. The kids started fighting immediately. My nephew threw sand at his sister. She screamed. My brother's wife snapped at both of them. My brother put in earbuds and closed his eyes, pretending not to hear. I paddled closer to shore, close enough to hear snippets of conversation. Mom, if you hadn't invited her into the group chat, my brother, it was an accident. How many times do I have to say it? My sister, The fact that she came here at all is insane. Who does that? Dad. She's always been vindictive. Remember when she told everyone about my DUI? I'd done no such thing. He'd gotten pulled over in the family driveway and the neighbors had seen everything. But rewriting history was their specialty. I spent the morning on the water, then joined my Toronto friends for lunch at a beachside cafe. They were fun, easy to talk to, and completely uninterested in family drama. We laughed about travel disasters and made plans to meet up again that evening. When I got back to my room around 2 p.m., there was a note slipped under my door. We need to talk. Alone, please. Mom. I crumpled it up and threw it away. An hour later, another knock. This time I checked the peephole. It was Mom, looking smaller somehow. Older. I almost felt bad. Almost. I opened the door. What do you want? Can I come in? She asked. No. She flinched. Please, I just want to talk. You had plenty of chances to talk before you decided to take a family vacation without me. That wasn't my idea. Your father thought. Don't blame Dad. I saw the group chat. You called me exhausting. You said I make everything about me. Her face crumpled. I was frustrated. You have to understand, you're so difficult sometimes. You pick fights. You make people uncomfortable. I have boundaries. That's not the same thing as picking fights. You embarrassed your uncle at Thanksgiving. He's never come to dinner again. He told a waitress she should smile more and then grabbed her wrist when she walked away. I called him out. That's not embarrassing. That's holding him accountable. Mom's mouth opened and closed. He didn't mean anything by it. That's the problem. You never think anyone means anything by it. When Dad makes racist jokes, he's just being funny. When my sister criticizes my weight, she's just concerned. When my brother drinks too much and gets aggressive, he's just stressed. But when I say something, I'm the problem. You don't understand what it's like to keep a family together, Mom said, her voice breaking. It's hard, it's exhausting, and you make it harder. I make it harder by existing with opinions, by not laughing at things that aren't funny, by refusing to be your emotional punching bag. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Why are you here? Why did you follow us? Because I wanted to see what would happen when you didn't have me to blame. And guess what? You all turned on each other within 48 hours. That's not fair, isn't it? Without me there to absorb all your dysfunction, you had to actually deal with each other, and you couldn't handle it. Mom shook her head. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. She stood there for another moment, then turned and walked away. I watched her go, her shoulders hunched, her steps slow. Part of me wanted to call her back, the part that still remembered her reading to me at bedtime, making my favorite cookies, defending me when I got bullied in middle school. But that mother had disappeared years ago, replaced by someone who chose peace over principles, who sacrificed me to keep everyone else comfortable. I closed the door. That evening, I went to dinner with my new friends. We ate at a seafood restaurant on the marina, the kind with paper tablecloths and buckets of crabs. The conversation flowed easily, and for a few hours, I forgot about my family entirely, until I saw them. They were at a table across the restaurant, looking miserable. My brother stabbed at his food. My sister scrolled through her phone, ignoring everyone. Mom and Dad sat in silence, not even pretending to enjoy themselves. The kids weren't there, probably back at the resort with a babysitter. I excused myself to use the restroom. On the way back, I had to pass their table. I slowed down slightly, not stopping, but making eye contact with each of them. My sister glared. My brother looked away. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Dad's face turned red. I kept walking. When I got back to my table, the Toronto couple looked concerned. Everything okay? The woman asked. Yeah, just saw my family, the one I'm not vacationing with. The plot thickens, her husband said with a grin. Do tell. So I did. I told them everything. The group chat, the uninvite, my decision to book the hotel next door, the chaos that had ensued. They listened, rapt, occasionally gasping or laughing. That's diabolical, the woman said. I love it. You're my hero, her husband added. I wish I had the guts to do something like that with my family. We finished dinner and went back to Seaside Vista for drinks by the pool. It was one of those perfect nights, warm and clear, with live music playing softly in the background. Around 10 p.m., my phone rang. My sister. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, she called again. Then my brother. Then Mom. I turned my phone off and ordered another drink. The next morning, day 7 of our parallel vacations, I woke up to find my social media flooded with messages. My sister had posted a long, rambling statement on Facebook. Some people just can't let go of the past. When you try to create healthy boundaries and spend time with the people who truly support you, toxic individuals will do anything to insert themselves back into your life. If someone hasn't been invited to something, there's a reason. Respect that. Don't show up uninvited and claim to be the victim. We all see through it. The comments were a mix of support and confusion. Most of her friends had no idea what she was talking about. A few asked if she was okay. I screenshot it and posted it to my Instagram story with the caption, "When the trash takes itself out." Within an hour, 3 of my cousins had texted me asking what happened. I sent them the full group chat screenshots. The ones where my family discussed excluding me, where they mocked my boundaries, where they agreed I was too much work to deal with. My cousin Bethany replied immediately, "Holy shit. I had no idea they were like this. I'm so sorry." My cousin Troy, "This is messed up. You deserve better." My cousin Priya, "Do you want me to say something? Because I will absolutely call them out." I told them not to worry about it. This wasn't their fight. But it felt good to be believed, to have someone see what I'd been dealing with. That afternoon, my family checked out early. I watched from my balcony as they loaded their luggage into a van, the kids crying, everyone's faces tight and angry. My brother looked up at one point and saw me. We locked eyes for a long moment. Then he flipped me off and got in the van. I waved. They left the resort at 2 p.m., 3 days before their trip was supposed to end. I stayed the full week. I spent those last 3 days decompressing. I got a massage, read 2 books, tried snorkeling for the first time. I made more friends, exchanged numbers with the Toronto couple, and promised to visit them next summer. On my last night, I sat on the beach watching the sunset. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Bethany's husband. She asked me to tell you that your mom called her today. Hysterical. Saying you ruined their vacation. Bethany told her she'd seen the group chat and that your mom should be ashamed. Your mom hung up on her. Just thought you should know." I smiled and put my phone away. The flight home was peaceful. I sat next to an elderly woman who told me stories about her late husband. We didn't exchange numbers or last names, just shared space for a few hours and parted ways. When I got back to my apartment, I immediately noticed something was off. My mail had been opened. My spare key was missing from its hiding spot. I called the landlord. He checked the security footage. My brother had let himself in 2 days earlier. "Did he take anything?" the landlord asked. I walked through the apartment. Everything seemed fine until I got to my bedroom. My laptop was gone, my iPad, my external hard drive where I backed up all my files. My hands started shaking. I called the police. They took a report but said without direct evidence my brother had taken the items. There wasn't much they could do. The security footage showed him entering the building, but the hallway cameras didn't cover individual apartment doors. "You could try civil court," the officer suggested, "but it'll be expensive and hard to prove." I called my brother. He didn't answer. I texted him, "I know you broke into my apartment. Return my things or I'm pressing charges." His reply came an hour later. "I don't know what you're talking about. Must have been a real robbery." That's what happens when you waste your money following your family on vacation instead of investing in better security. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I called a locksmith and had all my locks changed. Then I called my insurance company to file a claim. The adjuster asked if I had any proof of the items being in my apartment. Receipts, photos, anything. I had some, but not everything. "Without serial numbers or proof of purchase, we can only give you a fraction of replacement value," she said. Maybe $800. My laptop alone had cost $1,500. I hung up and sat in my apartment, furious and helpless. They'd taken the one thing I couldn't replace. My laptop had 5 years of writing on it, stories, essays, journal entries, photos. My external hard drive had backups of everything. Gone. My phone rang. My cousin Priya. I heard what happened. Bethany told me, "Listen, I work in tech. If he tries to factory reset those devices, they'll ping the Find My network. Did you have that enabled?" "Yes," I said. "On everything." "Good. Give me your Apple ID credentials. I'll set up alerts. The second any of those devices connect to the internet, we'll know where they are." Within 20 minutes, she'd set everything up. We sat on the phone together, waiting. "This might take days," she warned, "or longer. But if he's stupid enough to use them or sell them, we'll catch him." "Thank you," I said, my voice breaking. "Family is supposed to protect you," Priya said, "not steal from you. I'm sorry you're dealing with this." After we hung up, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let this slide. I wasn't going to be the bigger person anymore. I opened my laptop backup from 3 months ago and started compiling everything. Screenshots of the group chat. Photos from the Turks and Caicos trip, videos of their arguments, text messages where my family admitted to excluding me. Then I wrote it all out. Every detail. Every moment of manipulation and gaslighting. Every time they'd blamed me for their dysfunction. I posted it on a blog I'd been running anonymously for years. No names, no identifying details. Just the story. It went viral within 48 hours. Thousands of comments from people sharing their own stories of family toxicity, of being excluded and blamed, of finally setting boundaries and watching their families implode. "This is my exact situation," one comment read. "I thought I was crazy. You're so brave for walking away," another said. "I need to do this with my family," someone else wrote. "Thank you for sharing." My DMs flooded with messages. People asking for advice, sharing their stories, thanking me for making them feel less alone. On day 3 after posting, my phone rang. My cousin Bethany. "Your mom knows about the blog," she said. "Someone sent it to her. She's losing it. She called me crying, saying you publicly humiliated the family. I didn't use any names. She says everyone will figure it out. That you've destroyed the family reputation." I laughed. Actually laughed. "The family reputation? We don't have a reputation. We have dysfunction masquerading as tradition." "I know," Bethany said quietly, "but she's talking about cutting you off completely, blocking you from the inheritance, removing you from the family trust, all of it." "Let her," I said. "I don't want their money. I just want them to leave me alone." "Are you sure? That's $200,000 minimum when your grandparents' estate settles." I was sure. The money would come with strings, with expectations, with the assumption that I owed them something. "I'm done, Bethany. I'm completely done," she sighed. "I get it. I really do. But this is going to get ugly." She was right. Within a week, my parents hired a lawyer. They sent a cease and desist letter demanding I take down the blog post. They claimed it was defamatory, that it invaded their privacy, that it caused them emotional distress. I forwarded the letter to a lawyer friend who specialized in First Amendment cases. "This is bullshit," she said after reading it. "You didn't name them. You shared your own experience. They have no case. So I don't have to take it down?" Absolutely not. In fact, I'd recommend leaving it up. If they actually try to sue, discovery will be fun. They'll have to admit under oath that everything you wrote is about them, which would prove your point. I sent a response through my lawyer. My client declines to remove the post. Any further legal action will be met with appropriate counterclaims. My parents backed down, but the damage was done. The family split into factions. My cousins who'd seen the group chat sided with me. My uncle, the one who'd harassed the waitress, called me a liar and a traitor. My aunt, who'd always been neutral, tried to play peacemaker and ended up alienating everyone. Family gatherings stopped happening. Holidays came and went with no invitations, no expectations. For the first time in my life, I didn't have to dread Thanksgiving. I spent it with friends instead. People who chose to be in my life, not people who felt obligated. A month after I got back from Turks and Caicos, Priya's alert system went off. My laptop had connected to the internet. "Got him," she said when she called. "He's at a coffee shop in Riverside. I have the exact address." I called the police. They met me at the coffee shop 45 minutes later. My brother was sitting in the corner, my laptop open in front of him. "That's him," I told the officer. "And that's my laptop." The officer approached my brother. "Sir, can I speak with you for a moment?" My brother looked up, saw me, and his face went white. "That's my sister," he said quickly. "We had a misunderstanding. I was just borrowing her laptop. She filed a police report claiming it was stolen from her apartment," the officer said. "It's a family matter. She's being dramatic." "Sir, do you have permission to have this laptop?" My brother looked at me. Tell him you said I could borrow it." "He broke into my apartment and stole it," I said, "along with my iPad and external hard drive. I want to press charges." The officer asked my brother to step outside. I stayed inside with my laptop, checking. He'd wiped everything. All my files, gone. But the hard drive was in his backpack, still intact. The officer took my statement, photographed the devices, and arrested my brother for burglary. He tried to argue, tried to claim it was a misunderstanding, tried to say I'd given him permission, but I had texts. I had the police report. I had the security footage of him entering my building without permission. He was charged with second-degree burglary and theft. His wife called me that night, screaming, "You had your own brother arrested? Over a laptop? What is wrong with you? He broke into my home and stole my things. That's called burglary. It's a family matter. You should have worked it out. He had the chance to return my stuff. He chose to keep it and mock me instead. So yes, I had him arrested." She hung up on me. Within hours, I had messages from my entire family. I was vindictive, crazy, evil. I was tearing the family apart over material objects. I was choosing vengeance over love. My sister sent a particularly nasty message. "Mom and Dad are heartbroken. They're trying to get him a good lawyer and it's going to cost them $15,000. I hope you're happy." I was. Actually, I was. For years, they'd gotten away with treating me like garbage because they knew I'd never push back hard enough. They knew I'd always back down, always forgive, always try to keep the peace. Not anymore. My brother pled guilty to avoid trial. He got probation, community service, and had to pay restitution for the laptop. His mugshot ended up online. His employer found out. He lost his job, and my family blamed me for all of it. My sister started a whisper campaign. She told extended family that I'd had our brother arrested over a minor disagreement, that I was unstable, that I needed psychiatric help. Some people believed her, some people didn't. My cousin Bethany sent me screenshots of my sister's messages. "Just so you know what she's saying. It was worse than I expected. According to my sister, I'd always been jealous of her. I'd sabotaged her wedding by wearing white. I'd stolen from our parents. I'd lied about our uncle harassing the waitress. None of it was true, but it didn't matter. She needed a narrative where I was the villain, so she created one. I thought about defending myself, writing another post, sharing the evidence, proving my side. But then I realized something. The people who mattered already knew the truth, and the people who believed my sister's lies, they weren't worth convincing. So I let them talk. I focused on rebuilding. I bought a new laptop. I started writing again. I went to therapy to process everything. My therapist, Dr. Reeves, was in her 60s with gray hair and kind eyes. "You're grieving," she said during our third session. "Not just the family you had, but the family you wanted to have." She was right. Part of me still wanted a mother who would defend me, a father who would listen, siblings who would choose me, but they weren't capable of being those people. And that wasn't my fault. "You can't change them," Dr. Reeves said. "You can only decide what you're willing to tolerate." I decided I wasn't willing to tolerate anything anymore. 6 months after Turks and Caicos, I changed my phone number. I blocked my family on all social media. I set up a P.O. box for my mail so they couldn't show up at my apartment. I disappeared from their lives as completely as they'd tried to erase me from the vacation. It was terrifying and liberating in equal measure. I spent that year becoming someone new, someone who didn't apologize for having opinions, who didn't shrink herself to make others comfortable, who chose authenticity over approval. I made new friends, people who appreciated my directness, who valued my boundaries, who showed up when things got hard. I dated someone who thought my family stories were horrifying rather than proof that I was difficult. We're still together now, building a life that doesn't include toxic people. I started a new job that challenged me in good ways. I moved to a new apartment in a different neighborhood. I adopted a cat named Chaos, who lives up to her name, and I kept writing. Stories about family dysfunction, about setting boundaries, about choosing yourself when everyone else chooses convenience. The blog grew. My audience grew. I started getting speaking invitations, asking me to talk about family estrangement and healing. 1 year after the vacation, I gave my first talk at a conference. There were 200 people in the room. I told them everything. The group chat, the parallel vacation, the theft, the arrest, the cutting off. When I finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Within seconds, the entire room was on their feet. Afterward, dozens of people came up to share their stories. People who'd been excluded, blamed, gaslit, People who thought they were alone. You made me feel less crazy, one woman said, crying. I'm going to cut off my family next month, a man told me. I've been trying to work up the courage for years. Your story helped. That night I got an email. It was from my cousin Troy. I saw your talk. It was all over social media. Mom, my aunt, is furious. She says you're making money off the family's pain. Dad, my uncle, the one from the restaurant, is threatening to sue. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I forwarded it to my lawyer friend. Let them try, she said. You're sharing your own experience. That's protected speech. Plus, after everything they've done, I'd love to take them on. My uncle's lawyer sent a letter. My lawyer sent one back. They dropped it. 2 years after the vacation, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? It's me, my sister's voice. Small and unfamiliar. How did you get this number? Bethany gave it to me. Don't be mad at her. I begged. I stayed silent. I need to tell you something. Mom's sick. She has stage 3 breast cancer. She's starting chemo next week. My stomach dropped. Despite everything, despite the years of toxicity, she was still my mother. I'm sorry to hear that, I said carefully. She wants to see you. She's asking for you. Is she apologizing? Or does she just want something from me? My sister hesitated. She wants to make peace before it's too late. That's not an answer. Please. She's our mom. She stopped being my mom when she chose everyone else's comfort over my dignity. You're really not going to come? Even now? I thought about it. I thought about showing up, about being the bigger person, about offering forgiveness. Then I thought about the group chat, the vacation, the theft, the smear campaign, the years of being told I was too much, too difficult, too dramatic. No, I said. I'm not coming. You'll regret this. I regret a lot of things, but setting boundaries with people who hurt me isn't one of them. My sister's voice turned cold. You're heartless. Mom was right about you all along. If expecting basic respect makes me heartless, I can live with that. She hung up. I sat in my apartment, shaking. My partner came over and held me while I cried. Not for what I'd lost, but for what I'd never had. 3 months later, my cousin Bethany called. Mom passed this morning, peacefully. Dad and your brother were there. Your sister, but not you. I know. She asked for you at the end. She kept saying your name. Did she apologize? Silence. Did she say she was sorry for anything she did to me? She was dying. She wasn't thinking clearly. That's what I thought. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't go to the funeral. I sent flowers anonymously. White lilies with no card. My family was furious. According to my sister's Facebook post, I was dead to them. I'd abandoned my dying mother. I was cruel and selfish. The comments were split. Half agreed with her, half pointed out that if I wasn't at the funeral, there must be a reason. I didn't respond to any of it. Instead, I wrote one final blog post about grief, about complicated feelings, about how you can mourn someone who hurt you, how you can wish they'd been better while accepting they never would be. The post went even more viral than the first. News outlets picked it up. I did interviews about family estrangement, about setting boundaries, about the cultural expectation that family always comes first. Why is blood relation given more weight than actual behavior? I asked in one interview. Why are we expected to tolerate abuse from family that we'd never accept from a stranger? The host nodded. You've touched a nerve with a lot of people. The response has been overwhelming. It had. My inbox was flooded. People thanked me. People criticized me. People shared their own stories of cutting off toxic family members. One message stood out. It was from a woman named Vivian. I'm 68 years old. I cut off my family 40 years ago and spent decades feeling guilty about it. Your story helped me see that I made the right choice. Thank you for giving me peace. That message made everything worth it. 3 years after Turks and Caicos, I published a book. It was a memoir about family dysfunction, about finding yourself after losing your family, about building chosen family when biological family fails you. It became a bestseller. My family found out through Facebook. My sister posted a screenshot of the book cover with the caption, "Imagine making money off family trauma. Disgusting." But her friends didn't agree. The comments were mostly supportive of me. Maybe if your family hadn't been so toxic, there wouldn't be a book. I bought this. It's incredible. Your family should be ashamed. Good for her. She's thriving without you. My sister deleted the post within an hour. The book tour was surreal. I traveled to 30 cities, speaking to audiences about breaking cycles of toxicity. People waited in line for hours to get their books signed, to share their stories, to tell me I'd changed their life. In Denver, a woman in her 50s approached me with tears streaming down her face. I just cut off my mother last month, she said. I've been so scared I made a mistake, but your book made me realize I did the right thing. Thank you. In Seattle, a man told me he'd been estranged from his family for 10 years and still struggled with guilt. Your story helped me understand that guilt doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means I was raised to prioritize their feelings over my well-being. In Austin, a mother told me she was using my book to teach her daughter about healthy boundaries. I don't want her to go through what you went through. I want her to know it's okay to walk away from people who hurt her, even if they're family. The book's success brought more interviews, more speaking engagements, more opportunities. I was invited to speak at universities, corporations, therapy conferences. People wanted to understand family estrangement from someone who'd lived it. And my family? They watched from the sidelines, unable to do anything about it. My brother finished his probation and moved to a different state. We never spoke again. My sister got divorced and, according to Bethany, spent a lot of time complaining about how unfair life was. Apparently, she was trying to write her own book about me, about how I'd destroyed the family. No publisher was interested. My dad remarried within a year of Mom's death, a woman 15 years younger who had no interest in his adult children. I heard through Bethany that he was happier than he'd been in years, that he rarely mentioned me at all. And me? I built a life I actually wanted. I traveled, I wrote, I fell in love, I made friends who showed up when things got hard, who celebrated my success without jealousy, who accepted me completely. 4 years after the vacation, my partner proposed. We got married in a small ceremony with 30 people, all chosen family, not a single biological relative in attendance. It was the happiest day of my life. During the reception, my best friend made a toast. To found family, she said, raising her glass. To the people who choose us, who see us, who love us without conditions. To building something better than what we were given. Everyone cheered. That night, as my partner and I danced under string lights, I thought about my family, about what they were probably saying about me, about my wedding, about my choices. And then I stopped thinking about them, because they weren't there. They hadn't earned a place in this moment, in this life I'd built. I'd spent so many years trying to be enough for them, trying to be less opinionated, less difficult, less present, trying to shrink myself into something they could love. I'd finally accepted that nothing I did would ever be enough, because the problem wasn't me. It never had been. The problem was that they wanted a scapegoat more than they wanted a daughter, a sister, a family member who told the truth. So I let them have their version of events, their narrative where I was the villain, the problem, the one who ruined everything. And I built my own life, one where my voice mattered, where my boundaries were respected, where love wasn't conditional on silence. 5 years after Turks and Caicos, I got a letter. It was from my dad, handwritten, 5 pages long. I know I don't deserve a response, it started. I know I failed you in every way a father can fail a daughter, but I'm dying and I need you to know that I'm sorry. He went on to detail everything, the vacation, the group chat, the years of letting others treat me poorly. He admitted he'd been weak, that he'd chosen the easy path instead of the right one. Your mother spent her last days talking about you, he wrote. She wanted to apologize but didn't know how. She was proud of you, even if she never said it. The book, the success, the life you built, she followed all of it. He said he understood if I didn't want to respond, that he didn't expect forgiveness. He just wanted me to know the truth. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer. I thought about responding, about offering some kind of reconciliation before he died. But then I remembered something my therapist had said years ago. You don't owe anyone your presence just because they're dying. Death doesn't erase harm. It doesn't mean they've earned closure. So, I didn't respond. 6 months later, Bethany called. Dad had passed, peacefully, in his sleep. He left you something in his will, she said. A letter and $50,000. He wanted you to have it. I don't want his money. It's yours. He was very specific. You can do whatever you want with it. The check arrived 2 weeks later. I stared at it for a long time, thinking about what it represented. Guilt, an apology, a final attempt at connection. I donated it all to a nonprofit that helped people escape abusive families. Every penny. Then I wrote one last blog post. About inheritance, about guilt, about how sometimes the kindest thing you can do is refuse to absolve someone who hurt you. Forgiveness isn't mandatory, I wrote. Neither is reconciliation. Sometimes the healthiest choice is to walk away and never look back. And that's okay. The post went viral again. People shared their own stories of refusing deathbed reconciliations, of declining family money with strings attached, of choosing peace over performance. And slowly the narrative shifted. The culture started talking about family estrangement differently, not as something shameful or tragic, but as sometimes necessary, sometimes brave. I'd like to say that my family eventually understood, that they saw what they'd done and changed, that we reconciled and everyone learned valuable lessons. But that's not what happened. My sister still posts passive-aggressive things about me on Facebook. My brother still tells people I'm mentally unstable. My extended family is still split between those who support me and those who think I'm cruel. And I'm okay with that, because I learned something important during those years. You can't make people see what they refuse to acknowledge. You can't force accountability from people who benefit from chaos. You can't win with people who've already decided you're the problem. All you can do is build your own life, set your own boundaries, choose your own family. 7 years after that vacation to Turks and Caicos, I sat on a different beach, this time with my partner, my chosen family, my life exactly as I wanted it. My phone buzzed, a text from Bethany. Your sister is getting remarried. She's sending you an invitation as an olive branch. Please don't come if you're going to cause drama. I laughed out loud. After everything, they still thought I was the problem. They still believed their own narrative. I deleted the text. My partner looked over. Everything okay? Yeah, I said, watching the waves. Everything's perfect. And it was. Not because my family had changed or apologized or suddenly understood, but because I'd finally accepted that they never would. I'd spent years waiting for them to see me, to value me, to choose me. Now I chose myself, every day, without hesitation, without guilt. That vacation to Turks and Caicos had been a gift, even if they didn't realize it. It showed me exactly who they were when I wasn't there to blame. It proved that their dysfunction wasn't about me. It gave me permission to walk away. So I did. And I never looked back. Not at the resort, not at the family, not at the life I was supposed to want. Instead, I looked forward. At the future I was building, at the person I was becoming, at the family I chose instead of the one I was given. And somewhere across the country, in a different beach town, my sister probably told the story differently. About the sister who ruined their vacation, who got their brother arrested, who broke their mother's heart, Let her tell it that way. Let them all believe I'm the villain. I know the truth. And more importantly, I know my worth. And that's worth more than their approval ever was. Years from now, maybe they'll understand. Maybe they'll see the role they played in pushing me away. Maybe they'll realize that demanding respect while giving none isn't sustainable. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll die believing I was the problem, that I overreacted, that I threw away family over nothing. Either way, I'll be fine. Better than fine. I'll be free. Living a life built on authenticity instead of obligation. On chosen connection instead of genetic accident. On love that doesn't require me to be smaller, quieter, less. That's what I learned from following my family to Turks and Caicos. Not that I was right and they were wrong, but that I deserved better than what they were willing to give, and that walking away wasn't giving up. It was standing up. For myself, for my boundaries, for the life I actually wanted to live. So, yes, I booked the hotel next to theirs and watched them fall apart. But more importantly, I watched myself put together, piece by piece, boundary by boundary, choice by choice. And in the end, that was worth more than any family vacation ever could be.